Hi, I'm Jenny, and today we're going to talk about the psychology of depression. Allie Brush writes, and that's the most frustrating thing about depression. You can't fill it up, you can't cover it, it's just there, pulling the meaning out of everything. What is depression? Depression is a mood disorder that's diagnosed by the DSM, which is the diagnostic tool of psychiatry, as when a person exhibits a cluster of at least 5 of the following symptoms: fatigue, a feeling of worthlessness or guilt, impaired concentration, insomnia or hypersomnia, diminished interest in activities, restlessness, significant weight loss or gain, and suicidal thoughts over at least a 2-week period. Depression is commonly mistaken for laziness or lack of willpower or moral failing. The actual causes of depression are myriad and complicated. Depression can be caused by a disrupted circadian rhythm, a stressful life event such as losing a job, or even the absence of enough sunlight during winter. Depression has a genetic component as it runs in families. Experts used to believe that deficit of serotonin, a neurotransmitter, was why people got depressed. That's why the most common pharmaceutical treatment for depression is a class of drugs called SSRIs, or selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. These drugs increase the amount of serotonin in the brain, but are not effective for about 60% of depressed people. The chemical imbalance problem is actually a lot more complicated. Serotonin is a neurotransmitter, or a chemical that sends messages between neurons in the brain. Serotonin helps regulate sleep, appetite, and mood, and it inhibits pain. Many other neurotransmitters and parts of the brain are involved in depression. For example, norepinephrine is a stress-related neurotransmitter that constricts blood vessels and raises blood pressure. It may trigger anxiety and has been linked to depression. Depression acts on the hypothalamus, which is the memory center of the brain, the thalamus, which receives sensory information and transmits it to the rest of the brain, kind of like a switchboard, and the amygdala, which is associated with emotions like fear, sadness, and anger. But recent research posits that SSRIs have been effective due to their indirect effects of encouraging neurogenesis, or neuron creation, in the brain. Perhaps depressed people only get better once their brains make enough new neurons. Aaron Swartz writes, depression causes nearly half of all disability. It affects 1 in 6 and explains more current unhappiness than poverty. Sadly, depression, like other mental illnesses, is not seen as real enough to deserve the investment and awareness of conditions like breast cancer, which affects 1 in 8, and there is, of course, the shame. While the science of depression isn't clear, hopefully more research in this area will lead to compassion for people who suffer from a disease with so much stigma.